Max Found Two Sticks is a story written and illustrated by Brian Pinkney. It was a book that was originally hosted on Reading Rainbow. I remember reading this book as a kid and learning about the fact that music can be found everywhere, so I chose this story to tell in the classroom and share its message with my students. The story starts with a young boy named Max, who is sitting in front of his house, not wanting to do anything. He is sitting in silence and is watching the clouds gather in the sky. A breeze comes and knocks two sticks down to the ground where Max is sitting. He picks up the sticks and stares at them. His grandpa comes up and asks him what he is going to do with those two sticks. Without a word, Max tapped the sticks onto his legs and made a rhythm. Max continues to use his two sticks and taps them on various other things he finds throughout the neighborhood. Other friends and family members ask him what he is planning on doing with his two sticks, and he simply replies by making a sound with them. After tapping his way through town, he comes across a marching band. He drums along to the beat, and one of the drummers tosses him a set of real wooden drumsticks as he passes Max. Max, for the first time in the story, replies by saying, "Thank you." I absolutely love this book for several reasons. The artwork is beautiful, the story is simple but meaningful, and it opens up what music can really do for a person. The obvious musical connection that I learned from this book is that Max was able to produce sounds just by using two sticks that he found on the ground. He did not have to go out and buy an expensive drum set, much less drumsticks, to experience the rhythm of music. He was able to find ordinary objects, utilizing things such as hat boxes, glass bottles, garbage cans, and buckets to emulate rhythms that he could hear around him. He imitated the sounds of pigeons' wings flapping as well as the tap of the parade marching band. He was able to find music everywhere in his world, using objects that would not necessarily be categorized as musical. This can help students understand that music is for everyone and that it is everywhere. It is not just for those who can afford to purchase an expensive instrument. It is available to all people of any age and has no limits. Another thing that I found particularly interesting in this book was the tool of communication. After reading this book again a few times as an adult, I realized that Max does not speak a single word in the book until he says "thank you" to the drummer at the end of the story. Yet even though he speaks no words, he is able to communicate. A person will ask him a question such as, "What are you planning to do with that bucket?" And he would respond with a rat-a-tat-tat of his sticks on the bucket. He would tap on the glass bottles, the garbage cans, and other objects in response to the questions that were being asked of him. The way that the story is written alludes to the fact that people asking those questions got their answer, even though no word response was actually given. The only word the main character ever speaks is "thanks" at the end, which makes me feel like he was not saying thank you for the drumsticks themselves necessarily, but more of saying thank you for the gift of music in general. This way of communicating through music in the story shows children that they can also communicate various answers, ideas, and feelings through music, as well as the other arts. There are also many activities that we could tie into this story. One thing that we can do as an activity in any age classroom is to have a discussion of everyone's impressions of the story itself. We can discuss the imagery, color, diversity, use of words, sounds, and smells that were observed in the story, and interpretations about what the story meant to them. Another activity that could tie into the discussion is including a type of scavenger hunt game, in which students must search the book for various things and put their answers on a worksheet. These can be physical things they have to find, such as a bird, a trash can, or a particular color, but they can also find things like sounds that they observe, or smells that they can imagine smelling on a certain page of the story. This could also be tied into a vocabulary lesson, in which assigned vocabulary words could be found within the story itself. They could then use the scavenger hunt worksheet to have their own discussions about their impression of the story, and see how similar or how different their views of the story are between one another. The story can also easily be connected to music-related lessons. After reading this story, students should be able to recognize that Max was able to produce not only sounds, but even responses using his two sticks. A teacher could make a game in which students respond to certain prompts using music. One example would be the Response Rhythms game, in which students are playing various instruments in time with each other in a circle. These could be simple percussion instruments, glockenspiels, pianos, or whatever you have available to you. The teacher could create a simple question such as, "Michael, where are you?" And then Michael would need to respond with a few musical notes or jingles of their own. The students could either mimic a rhythm pattern chosen by the instructor, or they could be given the freedom to come up with their own rhythm responses. Then that student could choose another student to respond to their statement, or the teacher could continue to call out for other student responses. The teacher could change the statement that is used to anything that they might want to, or they can open the class up to be creative with both their questions and their responses. Another way that Max Found Two Sticks can be integrated into a music lesson is to encourage creative instrument fabrication. Students can either do the project at home or in the classroom. If from home, they can use whatever materials they can find in order to create some type of musical instrument. I might even require that they have to bring in something that is a trash or recyclable in order to connect the music lesson with a lesson in recycling objects into something for another use. If in the classroom, the students might be provided with drumsticks and might find an object from the classroom itself to try to produce various different sounds with their drumsticks. They can then attempt to create some type of group composition to perform for the rest of the class. Overall, Max Found Two Sticks is a great book to use in the classroom as a tool for a music lesson. It can tie in reading with music, and even has the opportunity to connect students to other subjects such as math, language arts, and science. The arts are great tools to use in the classroom to inspire creativity and learning. I hope that this video will encourage others to utilize books to inspire creativity in the classroom for their students.